This short video should introduce you in the reason why I wrote my book Erfolgreich Gespräche im Berufsalltag führen, der Einfluss von Haltung, Deutungsmuster und Unterbewusstsein auf Gesprächssituationen, which is published at Springer Gabler. In English it would be Successful Conversation in Day-to-Day Business, the influence of attitude, mindset, thinking pattern, and unconsciousness of conversational situations. The reason is that the communication needs to be changed in the VUCA world. What does it mean? We are coming from the SSEE world, which is an acronym and stood for stable, secure, easy, and explicit. Stable, in the conversation, it was clear from whom is the information delivered. It was always from the more educated person or hierarchically higher person. It was secure because roles and functions were secure with little or small changes at the end. It was easy because communication was limited to face-to-face and analog phone. It was explicit because it was clear from whom should come the information. The teacher gave the information to the children and not other students, and not other way around. In the today world, we are living in the so-called world. That is an acronym for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Volatile because it's different where you get the information. There are so many independent sources like social media, education materials you can find everywhere, and the internet is so huge and full of wrong and right informations. And then the communication is uncertain because knowledge is not dependent on title, role, or responsibility. For example, my children often know more in special area than I ever will know. And it's really complex. There are many dimensions of interaction and ways of communication possible. It's nowadays as well possible to speak with a robot, with a bot, an AI configured solution. And it's ambiguous because conversation partners have often different interests and experiences which might stand in conflict and which can create misunderstanding at the end. And here's a very good fitting quote for this. This is from Peter Drucker, an Australian management consultant. The most important thing in communication is hearing what isn't said. So really listening between the lines, really understanding what he wants to say or she, and where the motivation and insights are really based on, and what drives this person. In the successful VUCA communication, it's important that all levels of awareness from Edgar Schein is attached. Edgar Schein said that there's an obvious part which we can see or which we say. There's are norms and values, artifacts and behaviors, for example, the furnitures, the values of each company, which are obvious. But there are also a lot of things which is bigger has a bigger impact, and it's more than the obvious things. This is what we may even not realize. These are the basic assumptions. These are the assumptions how to behave in an organization to be successful. This is not spoken. This is what we observe with our unconsciousness. The successful day-to-day conversation which I developed want to have all of these layers in the conversation, while the SSEE traditional conversation approach only focus on the obvious things, what you can see on the surface. And this is why we need to skip it, because we are so much educated, and every stand that's important to have even the basic assumptions in the conversation. So the VUCA communication is balance approach. You see the side of the SSEE standard approach and the VUCA approach. And the SSEE is linear. You learn toolkits. You learn a linear and structured conversation, which never will happen because you never know what is the construct of the conversation partner. It's focused on your goals, they are central. What you want to achieve is central. And the communication approach is predefined dialogue. You have already prepared question and key messages over which you want to persuade this person. The methodologies are often manipulation methodologies, questioning, objection handling, summarization, commitment to action, data assimilation. The VUCA, successful day-to-day conversation, is a network conversation where the mind shift and behavior is in central, and because behavior always create action. And the conversation partner goals and needs, belief, are central. So we change the side. It's more important what our conversation partner wants to achieve. And we enable a conversation to find benefits for themselves so that they find the solution from within and not we give the solution. It's a holistic view to align vision and goals, and it's deep listening. It's at the acceptance and respect of the other experience opinions, and it's aligned to values. It's a deep understanding, and it brings us to a conversation flow where we forget time. So the SSEE approach is in one way monologue, hierarchically driven, and the other is a real discussion. It's a balanced approach, and it creates psychology safety. The VUCA world needs to change business communication because we need to enable the teams to find their own solution, because only through this it will be sustainable. Aristotle said once, a Greek philosopher and polymath, education the mind without educating the heart is not education at all. So only when the heart is involved, we really can make a difference and can change a conversation, an opinion, something like this. The reception is so important, and aligning the interaction between hierarchical levels to the VUCA words. In the SSEE approach, the leaders wanted to add the value. They gave the solution. They gave the guidance. They gave the answer. The answer were not coming from within. The focus was planning before the conversation, and do the conversation you have planned. Feedback on what happened within the conversation. This is much too late because it's already gone. The communication approach was focused on tasks to solve problems for the employee. The methodology is or was discussing objective, focusing on employee and less on the whole, what really happens, focus on task, achievements and completing tasks, feedback when everything is already done and you can't change it anymore after the interaction. The VUCA is leaders to support the reflection of the employees to find their own solution, what they need to change. Feed forward weeks before the conversation instead of feedback when everything is gone, and only feedback to find out the lesson learned, to have something to feed forward for the next time. Here is the focus on the person, not on the task. It's completely changed. It's the person. You see the whole person, how the person can develop, and not how you can solve your task. It's proactively because ahead of the game, you make feed forward like a trainer on sports. They train before the game and not after. They trust and support. They observe the whole situation. They make perceptions. They listen to the whole, and they discuss the impact on behaviors, and they co-create the solution. So not the manager gives the solution, they co-create it. The result for the SSEE standard approach is task completion, and in the other VUCA is real people development with sustainable result. What the outcome when you do this? The outcome is emerge scientific disciplines, psychology, philosophy, and social science, which is all in my book. You can read it there in a holistic way, built to a holistic picture of a conversation. Conversations are not and never linear stimulus response. They're circular. Understanding the background of the unspoken reaction and creating a long-lasting result. Communicative in a balanced way of peer level and less on one-way monologue or regularly driven opportunistic dialogue. Benefits for the participant: they can adapt to the communication habits, traditional methods, and behaviors towards VUCA, even when they have been successful in the past, will be more successful. Understanding the influence of the self in the flow of the conversation, because you need to know who you are before you start a conversation. Reflecting, improving on models and conversation using the previous organization and adjusting them to the new normality. Understanding why silence and time for reflection are often more effective for optimized solution. This is what the book entails, and it's really worthwhile to read it because you have so much background in this. And if you like, here's a video which I heartily recommend. It's about deep listening, disclosing the unsaid, which explains in a wonderful video from Sandra Carrigo, senior consultant, how important it is to wholeception and really listen to the whole. I thank you for listening to the video and for looking at this, and hope you enjoyed it a bit and you find some information useful for you. Wish you a nice day.